They're made to fight for it, but a very welcome win for Leinster all the same. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Not many people would have expected Leinster to lose this one at home against Zebre, but I think they'll be happy to get a second win under the belt all the same. And fair play to Zebre as well. We saw them start the season really well, 2 home wins and looking very competitive. Then go on the road for the first time, get nilled against Ospreys. Back at home, didn't look that competitive against the Stormers either, but they were back with a bang tonight, and you got to give them credit for the way they played, especially, not just like the first 50 minutes was great from them, but the fact as well they were able to go again and end up securing themselves a bonus point try as well. They said losing bonus point to the commentary, but it's not. It's they lost and they got a bonus point, but it's not a losing bonus point. Anyway, so into the game, Leinster strike early. Harry Byrne, nice grubber into the 22. McLaughlin on debut, he gets there first and then pass it inside to JJ Kenny, who is over to score, converted for 7-0. Leinster then attacking again into 22. They go wide left. Byrne with a behind the back pass and back inside to Soroka, who controls it with his foot and then dives onto the ball. We have a TMO check, but it's all good. Conversion is missed, 12-0. Zebre then drive a maul deep into the 22. Leinster struggling to halt it. They struggled really with that Zebre maul until RG Sneyman come on, and then they were able to deal with it. But generally, I've said it before, Leinster's maul defence and maul attack are, probably one of the poorest teams in the league at that. And we saw that again today. But they finally stop it about 50 metres out. And then Zebre go through some phases before Dominguez hits a pinpoint cross kick to Bologna to score in the corner. The Ray converts for 12-7. Leinster then respond right away. Poor clearance from Pani. Charged down by Soroka. Fumbled by Zebre towards their own line. Leinster swoop in on the loose ball. It's offloaded to Soroka, who gets over to score his second, and that is converted for 19-7. Leinster then struggling with another Zebre maul, concede another penalty. Dominguez takes a quick tap. He scampers over the line and behind the posts. Nobody switched on the Leinster side for that. Convert for 19-14. Then we have Laumas off feet and Leinster kick up the line to about 10 metres out. They go to their maul and that's just instantly halted by Zebre. Leinster go to like one out runners and work it to the line. They suck in the defence and then Byrne fires a pass wide. It almost gets intercepted, but they did have penalty advantage. Kenny then scoops up the ball and steps the cover over to score, converted for 26-14. We then have a TMO check as Andrew Osborne takes Panny's feet from under him as he went for a high ball. It's a yellow card and goes for an off-field review. There's booing from the crowd at the fact that he gets a card, but I thought it was a good decision there, and especially because like Pani actually kind of flips a little bit and ends up landing on his shoulder. So not a good look for Andrew Osborne. And as the referee said, he was in no position really to claim the ball. He just kind of one of those ones where Pani goes up and Osborne is eyes on the ball, fair enough, but he still comes under him, like sweeping under him, and just takes his legs out from him and he flips over. So yeah, they're trying to stamp that out in the game. Zebre then win another penalty. They go to the corner. They go to the maul. It's edging forward. Then some backs join in and they're able to drive over. And it is Quattrini is the score. Converted from out wide, 26-21. Zebre just not going away in this game. And we then hear that the yellow card for Osborne has been upgraded to a 20-minute red. And, it was, again, I think definitely a card maybe on that borderline between, yellow and 20-minute red. But you can see why, I think, given the circumstances, you can see why the officials went with the red. We then have another TMO review. This time with Dominguez, a no-wrap tackle when he's on one knee on Culhane, and he goes to the bin. Another off-field review, and thinking straight away that's a possible red on that one as well. Culhane then has to go off injured, and wish him well, wish him a speedy recovery, because it looked like speaking in commentary that it looked like he overextended as well from that tackle, and that sometimes unfortunately that can mean a long time out of the game. Leinster then attacking with the clock in the red, but play is stopped because Nocera seemed to actually get knocked out by Charlie Tector. So they blow it up for safety reasons, and it's halftime 26-21. We then hear, before we start the second half, Dominguez's yellow card has been upgraded to a red. And then Pani, then he gets charged down for the third time in the game, and Leinster have a 5 metre scrum. Leinster get to shove on at the scrum to get penalty advantage. McGrath then snipes over, but that gets chalked off because he lost control as he went to ground. So we come back for the penalty. Leinster then opt for scrum again. Another penalty. They then decide to tap it. They batter away at the line. And then finally, Cahir on his debut gets over, convert for 33-21. Leinster then up the pace for a while, and Zebre, you can see they're beginning to flag. The forwards soften up the defence in that 22 before Byrne goes through a gap and over from about 10 metres out. Conversion missed, 38 points to 21. Leinster then see off a bit of a revival from Zebre before going down the other end. Quick ball makes some space out wide, and it's Orgy Sneyman who gets over. The conversion actually goes over via the post, and it's 45 points to 21. Zebre then do get over for that bonus point try. About 8 minutes left on the clock, and Zanon goes over. It was a strange one because they went to the maul again, but Leinster actually dealt with it really well. But Zebre able to spread it wide and get outside of that defence, and then I thought Zanon did well to finish. Conversion missed, 45-26, and then Leinster get over for the final score as Will Connor goes over from tap penalty. Conversion missed. It actually fell off the tee with 5 seconds to go, and they went for a drop goal, but it wasn't to be. 50 points to 26 was the full-time score. So we're going to have a look at the stats, and then we will have a quick chat about each of the teams. And I'm hoping to keep it quick because I want to watch the Munster Connacht game that's on now in a minute as well. So let me pull up these stats here on the URC site. So starting off with tries, so 8 tries to 4 for Leinster. So, a decent bag from them, but they'll be disappointed that they did concede 4 tries all the same. And, they were talking about, again, in commentary about how it's a much changed Leinster team. But, why is it a much changed Leinster team? Because they brought back a bunch of the Lions players just for that game against Munster, and then they left again to go on Ireland duty. So, even though I'm a Leinster fan, I don't have much sympathy for them, for the changes in the team, especially because most of this, well, I won't say most, because there were a lot of kind of debutants and second caps and stuff, but a bulk of this side have been involved for most of the games, through the season. The tour down to South Africa, and then the win against the Sharks as well. So, but I felt they found a rhythm pretty well. Like defensively, yeah, it could be better, but again, you got to give Zebre credit for the way they played. Possession then 53-47, offloads 8 6. There was one outrageous offload from Orgy Snyman where he was basically at the bottom of the ruck and just reached one of his massive arms out the side of the ruck and just flicked it back on the Leinster side. Then we have meters gained 314 to 165, clean breaks 10 to 7, and defenders beaten 14 to 15. So Leinster, you can see that in terms of, you know, when they kind of caused Zebre to miss a tackle, generally they were breaking the line and they were making those meters as well, and good carries as well for the forwards, just keeping that momentum going for them. Defence end territory 53 to 47, so again Leinster edging that. Number of tackles 145 to 183, missed tackles 15 to 13, so tackle success 84 from Leinster is actually pretty good for them. Generally you expect them to be somewhere around kind of lower in the 80s, kind of 81, 82, or even into the high 70s, because of the way they defend with, you know, shooters from the line and stuff. Not too many shooters today, but they did have like a high press as well, especially that kind of umbrella defense where they're trying to stop the ball going wide, and they had some success with that. Then Zebre 86%, decent from them. Again, kind of pass mark for the URC is around about 85. Turnovers 1, then 5 for Leinster, 3 for Zebre. Wasn't a game where there was a ton of kind of back and forth on the turnovers. You had I think the bulk of the turnovers that Zebre got were getting players over the ball when they isolated Leinster runners. Turnovers lost then 4 to 7. Kicks and play then 23 to 22. So both teams, you know, using kicks. Like there were a lot of contestable kicks as well, and you know you can see that in terms of, you know, where the 20 with red card came from as well. Kick success then 63 to 75, and kick meters 582 to 556. So pretty even on the kicking side of things. Kicks retained 5 to 3. Onto the lineouts then. 11 lineouts won by Leinster, 12 for Zebre, both 100%. I didn't see too much competing in the lineout, and you can see why from Leinster. They were so worried about that, you know, driven maul, that they really weren't getting up there to compete, and they were just trying to have, you know, a decent platform, you know, and players in the right position to be able to try and stop mauls when Zebre went to them. You know, but again, you know, I think if you have somebody who can compete well in the air, why not throw them up and maybe prevent the maul forming at source? But they went for the other option, and you know, first half it didn't really work out in their favour. Scrums then 6-1 to 7, both on 100%. But you know, Leinster were the team who were winning, you know, penalties for their scrums. 2 red cards, 1 each. Penalties conceded 8 for Leinster, 9 for Zebre. So both keeping in single figures there. And we have 4 attacking penalties, 4 defensive penalties from Leinster, and 1 attacking penalty from Zebre, and 8 defensive penalties. So you can see there, just in terms of the where the pressure was coming on to the teams, like, you know, 8 defensive penalties from Zebre just tells you that they were kind of on the back foot for a lot of the game, especially that second half. And then scrum offences, just 1 from Leinster and 4 from Zebre. Okay, so let's talk about the teams. Zebre again, you know, well worth their try bonus point in the game. Much deserved for them. Again, you know, as a Leinster fan, I don't like to see Leinster giving away the points, but I thought it would be a bit cruel to Zebre if they hadn't got it, given how well they played in that first kind of 50 minutes or so. They went toe to toe with Leinster, and you know, they really did kind of stick in there. You know, and it was kind of the combination of, you know, first of all, the fact that they had that 20-minute red, and Leinster were back up to 15 by the end of that period, and then as well that Leinster kind of upped the pace around the same time, really did kind of, I think, you know, snap their legs. But overall, pretty good. You know, they showed again that if they get a sniff of a chance, they've got decent finishers. It's not like they blew a bunch of chances. And that, that's kind of, I think, one of the hallmarks of this Zebre side is that generally, they've got a decent conversion rate for, chances to scores as well. And we saw that again here tonight. For Leinster then, as I said, struggled with that maul defence, and it's something they've absolutely got to fix. And also, you wonder who's looking after the maul for them on both sides, because the maul defence is poor and the maul attack is poor as well. And it feels like, that could be something that, if you got somebody in there, a specialist for it, you could turn that around for them as well, and just add an extra, little string to the bow there for that too, because you see it so often, like Leinster just rely on Sheehan being able to get off the back of, a not really, excellent scrum, maul, and force his way over the line. And, it feels like they rely on that a little bit too much in big games. So if they could turn that around, it'd be great. But overall, got lots of debutants on there, and, some decent games from them. You saw, I think, JJ Kenny, it was, I think, his second game, because his first game was that one against the Sharks, where he looked decent, and he certainly looked good in this one as well. Got himself 2 tries. And then Alex Soroka, got to talk about him. So this is a guy who, he wasn't supposed to start this game because Deegan was in to start, and he was kind of, a late injury withdrawal. And if you watch this channel, like for the last few seasons now, I've been bagging the drum for Alex Soroka, and ever since, like, he went down to South Africa on his first tour and really stood out, in the Leinster team that weren't doing brilliantly down there, but he stood out as one of the shining lights from that. So it's great to see that happening for him. And, again, it's about, because the problem for him was he had a long injury layoff. So you want to just stay fit and then see what he can do from there, because he definitely is, a talent, and maybe coming through at maybe a later time in his career than maybe he would have hoped for, because of that pretty long injury layoff as well. And then Harry Byrne at 10, for me, in terms of, ability and form, he should be Leinster's number 110. Obviously, that's not going to be the case because you have Prendergast there ahead of him. But I've talked about this with Leinster before, that there has to be some kind of actual competition within the squad. It can't be just a case of this guy plays for Ireland, and when he comes back in, he goes straight back in to whatever position it is, whether it's 10 or 10 or 9 or anywhere in the pack or the backs or wherever. That there has to be genuine competition. That if the player who's kind of considered to be number 2 is playing so well, and the guy who's number 1 isn't, then there has to be some kind of ability for them to actually go ahead of them. And it feels like for a number of years, it hasn't really been the case, especially because you have that contingent that go away with Ireland and come back, and they're not really, it feels like, people aren't really competing on the same level because of that, and maybe certain games don't get as much weight in terms of performance by players because of that either. So be interesting to see what Leinster decide to do, especially now, the Ireland players are going to come back. Hopefully Prendergast is in better form when he does come back from Ireland, and then you're into the start of Champions Cup as well. So getting that right at that stage is going to be very big for Leinster in terms of how the rest of the season develops from here. But as I said, they'd be very happy for the win here. So let me know what you think down in the comments.